Welcome, Entourage. Sorry about the delay, technical difficulties, but it's going to be worth your while, guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you give it a like. Make sure you give it a sub. We are about to get deep. One thing about me, guys, this is unlike any waiver show. I don't just tell you a bunch of players who had good games. No. The way we do things around here at Entourage, if you're new, I only mention players who I think can be potential future starters for you or potential league winners. Well, guys, you've waited long enough. Let's get into it.
The fantasy football Entourage are winning.
Yes, Entourage, we are definitely winning. Crazy week. Lots of what I would call fool's gold out there when it comes to waivers. We see it all the time. All these players, blow up. We rush to the waiver wire. We drop good players that had bad weeks for these, bad players that had good weeks. And all of a sudden, we feel shitty. We're not going to do that around here. We're not going to do that. We're going to decipher what's real, what's not, and who is really worth a pickup. Because more often than not, I hodl these waivers like I hodl my crypto. You got a number one waiver and it doesn't go like in order of last to first, and you could hold that number one waiver. I'm holding that thing on for dear life, guys. Same thing with my fob. I'm stingy. You know why? Because when that real league winner comes, then you got that arsenal. You got that ammunition to go all in. Use all your fob when you got that slam dunk league winner, which, quite frankly, I don't see this week. So we'll end all suspense. But rapper, Elijah Mitchell. We're about to get into that 1 second. All right. Elijah Mitchell. This is what everybody wants to know. This is why you are here today. Talk about Elijah Mitchell and the 49ers backfield, right? Let's face it. Some people might think he's a league winner. I'm here to tell you he's not. Why is he not? Guys, let's look at the facts, because a lot of times we got to dig a little deeper. People see, oh, he had 100 yards rushing, he had a touchdown, he looked good, blah, blah, blah. Who they face? Detroit. They're blowing them out. How did we get here? Well, Niners, preseason, had 101 running backs. They cut Gallman, surprisingly. Okay. Jamichael Hasty made it, surprisingly. Jamichael Hasty, by the way, here's the thing, guys. I've watched every single touch of Jamichael Hasty, Trey Sermon, and Elijah Mitchell. And I'm here to tell you, there's really not much difference between the three backs as far as talent. I actually thought on film that Jamichael Hasty kind of looked the best and fit that scheme really good. He's short, 5'8", but he's stout, over 200 pounds. He's also the thickest. I mean, actually, Trey Sermon might be a little thicker. But anyway, regardless, there was nobody that was that much better. Okay, Raheem Mostert was banged up all offseason, still ended up being the clear starter. That wasn't even up for debate. If any of these guys were that good, I mean, Raheem Mostert's good, but he's not like unseatable or anything like that. And what do we know about the 49ers offense? They're a plug-and-play offense. Whoever they plug in at running back does work. That's how Raheem Mostert got there in the first place. I mean, the dude was kicked off like 6 teams, right? Jeff Wilson. Who's Jeff Wilson? Did work. And last Sunday was Elijah Mitchell. But guys, let's not get carried away. It was the Detroit stinking Lions. I mean, who doesn't have a field day against the Lions, especially with that zone scheme? Okay. Hasty had a little touchdown himself. All right. Now, what we do know, and this came out after the game because it shocked the Twitter world when Trey Sermon was a healthy scratch. I didn't see that coming. I told you I wasn't in love with Trey Sermon, but I definitely didn't see a healthy scratch coming. Especially, think about this. Mitchell was a 6th-round pick. Got picked after Trey Sermon, and he played ahead of Trey Sermon. And supposedly him and Hasty were ahead of Sermon for weeks. Okay. Who knows? Gallman might have made the team if they didn't draft Sermon in the 3rd or 4th round and probably would have made management look bad. Okay. But here's the thing about Elijah Mitchell, guys. He's a scat back. I mean, I guarantee you that is the most work he is going to get all offseason or all season. Okay. So is he worth breaking the bank for and fob using a number 1 waiver? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because to me, you have just as good a chance as Hasty being the guy or Sermon now that there's, a spot available. I don't think Elijah Mitchell, I'm willing to bet any amount of money that Elijah Mitchell will not be the lead back for 2021, the whole year. He'll have his games. And maybe that was the last of it. But I guarantee you he will not be the clear RB1 for the rest of the year. I'll put any amount of money on it. Why? He doesn't pass the eye test. He's a scat back that got a lot of touches, but it was him or Hasty, who's kind of another. Hasty's not. The thing about Hasty, he's short. He's 5'8", but he's thick. He's like 215 or something. He's got a 75% BMI. The 75 percentile, I should say. And like I said, I thought Hasty actually looked as good, if not better, on film. So I'm not going to use my number 1 waiver. I'm not going to go all in. So what do you do with the other guy? So I think if you got the extra bench spot, and let's say you're a number 1 waiver and you don't want to break the bank for Elijah Mitchell, like here, if you're dealing with fob money, put 10%, maybe as high as 15% if you're in desperate need. But it could be a situation where even in week 2, Hasty or Sermon could have a better game. It don't even have to be like long-term. Elijah Mitchell's not going to be the guy. It could be as early as week 2 because they like to rotate backs, the Niners. Okay. We've seen it with McKinnon, with Coleman, with Mostert. And again, Elijah Mitchell's BMI is like the 25 percentile. So he's not a big guy. He is a scat back, just happened to get a lot of touches due to the situation. And he was hot. Okay, I'd rather get Hasty for free, to be quite frank, or maybe somebody drops Sermon, maybe you get him for free if your bench space allows. But 10-15% if you really need a running back. But like I said, there's no guarantee. Even in week 2, Mitchell will be decent. 10-15% is the most. But the better value is Hasty for free if your bench allows, or just, if you're an entourage, usually your backs are stacked. So you wouldn't be starting. I think Mitchell is a borderline flex at best and a risky one. Okay, that's the way I feel. So enough on him. You guys know to be quite frank, the only reason he made this video is because he's the number 1 waiver, but he ain't my number 1 waiver. That's for damn sure. Next up, quarterbacks. I mean, quarterbacks are a dime a dozen. So I don't know how much relevance this has, but the fact of the matter is, Sean Payton's offense, the quarterback, usually does well. Even Taysom Hill last season was a top 10 quarterback. Winston, 5 touchdowns, didn't throw for many yards, but Green Bay, they can't stop the run, but usually pretty good pass D. And he got 5 touchdowns. So Winston, remember, he's one of like 8 players to throw for 5,000 yards. Now you put him with Sean Payton. All right. Weapons aren't great, but I think Callaway will have better days. The tight ends are decent. Juwan Johnson had 2 touchdowns. But all in all, I think Winston. Now, here's the thing, guys. Winston might be a pickup if you drafted Ryan Tannehill. Who else would you draft in? I don't know if he would crack the top 12 other than maybe he's definitely better than Matt Ryan, Ryan Tannehill, Kirk Cousins. I mean, depends how deep your league is. But yeah, Winston, Sean Payton's offense. If you need a quarterback, he's worth a pickup. Speaking of Saints, now this kid I love. I love him. Why do I love him? Because of what I tell you guys, okay? I said future starters or potential league winners. Now, this is the best situation because Tony Jones Jr. at the very minimum is a borderline flex bye-week flex filler at the minimum. Okay. He had 11 carries, 50 yards. Not bad. Didn't really have anything going in the passing game, but yards per carry was impressive. He's a pass catcher, has standalone value, and if they keep using Kamara like that, 20 carries, Kamara ain't built for 20 carries a game. Let me tell you, he's just not, especially for 17 games. Okay, so what do we know about Sean Payton's offense? The quarterbacks ball, but so do the running backs. And this ain't new. This goes back before Kamara, Ingram, Deuce McAllister. What's the other guy they had? Every running back, starting running back, and a lot of times even Latavius Murray in the past was like an RB2. And he was a compliment to Kamara. So Tony Jones Jr., there's not many, if any, handcuff that I think is more valuable than Tony Jones Jr. And that includes Alexander Madison, because honestly, guys, yeah, I don't think Alexander Madison is that good. Just the times he's had doesn't look that great. Tony Pollard, he's good, but I think Tony Pollard is better suited as like a hybrid complementary back. Tony Jones Jr., though, he can run between the tackles. He can catch the football. Who else do the Saints got? Tony Jones Jr. is arguably the best handcuff and a must-own. If you got Kamara, I don't give a shit if you got to overpay for Tony Jones. You better get your Tony Jones. I'm telling you that right now. All right. Next star on our list, another similar Tony Jones type player where he has standalone value, had almost 13 points, and he had another touchdown called back. This guy is Nahim Heinz 2.0, and he might even be a little better. He's got Nahim Heinz, old offensive coordinator. Nick Sirianni is the head coach now in Philly. And 35% of the snaps, they used him quite a bit. What do you have, like 8 or 9 carries? Had a touchdown. They used him in the red zone, third down, first down. They used him a lot. Now, the reason I have Tony Jones Jr. higher is because I think right now they're about equal if Miles Sanders stays healthy and Alvin Kamara stays healthy, but I like Kenny Gainwell a little bit better. However, if something were to happen to Miles Sanders, that's more likely to happen than Alvin Kamara. But I still think Kenny Gainwell will be a complimentary back. Maybe it'll go from 35% of the snaps to 50%, but I don't think it'll go to 70% or higher. Okay? I just don't know if he's built quite like that. Tony Jones, however, I think can get that like 65, 70%. So I think he's built better like an all-around back than Kenny Gainwell, which is why I give him the slight edge, because they're almost equal, and I give the slight edge to Kenny Gainwell. But I think, as far as league winning potential, I think Tony Jones Jr. fits that mold better than Kenny Gainwell. But I love both, and you guys know that. Like, even before the draft, I didn't need week 1. Everybody on Entourage has Tony Jones Jr., Gainwell, or both. All right. Another player fits that talent over everything mode. Bryan Edwards did absolutely squat last night until it mattered most. It's like that last drive, end of the game, 84 yards, like a couple minutes left. And he should have had a touchdown. He was like this, like a freaking like the smallest digit in math ever from getting a touchdown. And that man he looked like DK out there. They say he looked like Terrell Owens. I think he looked like DK. Dude looked like a tight end. He was just catching like if Derek Carr actually decides to feature anybody besides Darren Waller with a sprinkle of Henry Renfrow, like if Bryan Edwards was anywhere but the Raiders, man, he would have been like a second, third round pick. And he's free right now. Go get him. Because I was watching that game and it's like, and then at the end of the day, Derek Carr threw for 450 yards. It's like, this guy looked like crap for the first half. And then somehow it ends up with 450 yards. But anyway, we're not talking about Derek Carr. We're talking about Bryan Edwards. And we're talking about talent. We're talking about future potential starters. And I think he could, even with Derek Carr bullshitting and throwing every freaking pass to Darren Waller, I still think Bryan Edwards can be a wide receiver 3 and possibly more. So Bryan Edwards is definitely worth a pickup. All right. Another talent over everything guy. And this, and again, this shouldn't surprise you. Oh, I put the name before the player. Cole Kemmet. High pick last year. They traded up. You know, it's hard for tight ends to do work their first year. And still, he was doing work at the end of last year. Okay. His comp, Travis Kelce. He was second on the team in targets with 7. He had like 5 catches, 40-something yards. Look really, really good. When talent meets opportunity, they can't all go to Allen Robinson, right? And I think hopefully when Justin Fields becomes the quarterback, I think that'll be a boost. Justin Fields being a better quarterback. And rookie quarterbacks tend to lean on their tight ends. And running quarterbacks, for some reason, love tight ends too. Look at Mike Vick used to love Algie Crumpler. Lamar Jackson loves, what's his name? Andrews. So I think Cole Kemmet, to me, he's definitely a TE1. I don't know why he was being drafted so low, but again, this is why you're on this show. We predict. We don't react. We proact. We stay proactive. Because the problem is that most analysts, they're stat geeks. They're scoreboard watchers. Like, oh, he had a good game. Go pick him up. But if you watch football, you can see the potential and you can anticipate and you get these people before the rush. Because if you watch my content, you should already have Tony Jones Jr. You should already have Kenny Gainwell. I also had Winston as a QB1. Cole Kemmet, he's in Rappers Guys. Go look at my Instagram. So this is like a waste of your time other than Elijah Mitchell, who I still don't like, which is why I didn't anticipate this. And then he had his best game of the year. Cole Kemmet, guys, tight end position is very, very difficult to get. Cole Kemmet, I think I already got him. I had Gesicki higher than him. I think I'm ready to put him over Gesicki. I think he could even be from a TE1 to a possible top 10, even potentially higher. And he's free, and that's a hard position to get. So long story short, Cole Kemmet. Now here's something you won't see every day. Probably the only time you're going to see this. Why am I doing this? Sorry, guys. I am not technical. But Carolina's defense. Okay, I usually don't talk about defense. But again, if you bought my draft kit, if you listen to my lives, guys, defenses, I always have the top defense every year. Last year, I told you guys get Washington. The year before that, who was the top? I told you guys the Niners. The year before that, it was Chicago or Jacksonville. I'm really good at finding defenses. And this year, I was telling everybody, get Carolina. Get Carolina. Get Carolina. And I told, and same thing, I had it on repeat. I said, this Carolina team is this year's Team Washington. That was my analogy. I've been saying it all along. Now, you might be thinking, whoa, rapper, it's the Jets. It was the Jets. However, you guys remember, Carolina at the end of 2019 was like the worst defense. And then they got rid of all their starters. So that worst defense got even worse. But what changed? They brought in Matt Rule, a defensive coach, a great communicator and motivator. And last season, I don't know how, well, I kind of know how, but they were a top 15 defense with nothing. They're young. They have a great defensive line, which is you win in the trenches because a good defensive line makes your secondary better. They added a couple pass rushers. They drafted a couple corners. This defense is ferocious. And let me tell you something. This is not the same Jets. Zack Wilson is as poised and mature rookie quarterback as we've seen in this league. He does not commit a lot of turnovers, and he still got him to throw one pick. And Zack Wilson, honestly, Zack Wilson impressed me more in that loss than any. I mean, because I know Carolina is ferocious. Jets still have offensive line woes. And he went on the road, still threw for 250, 2 touchdowns, was missing 2 receivers. He did fumble. But I think it's more of a testament to Carolina's defense, not Zack Wilson. Zack Wilson had like 3 interceptions his senior year or his last year in college. Okay? So it's not like, oh, it's the Jets. No. Carolina's for real. Like I told you guys, I know defenses. There will be a top 3 to 5 defense. If they're available, I usually never say this because I'm cool with streaming defenses. But if they're available, they're worth a waiver wire. They might actually be worth more of a waiver wire, to be quite frank, than Elijah Mitchell. Why? Why? Because you win with elite players. And again, I'm not a big quarterback guy, but I am a big quarterback guy when you get a guy like Jalen Hurts in the 8th, 9th round. Some of you guys got him later. Because he could be heads and shoulders, like we saw this week, above the rest. And I think Carolina's defense, you don't have to worry about streaming. They could be heads and shoulders. And that's a big advantage because to me, there's about 4 defenses that I'm playing every week, maybe 5. And that is Pittsburgh, Washington, Denver, as long as they could stay healthy, Carolina, and maybe the way the Saints been looking, the Saints. That is it. Ravens, New England, they're a better real-life defense than Buffalo. Those are the only 4 to 5 defenses you could plug and play every single week. Okay? So there you have it, guys. I know what you're thinking. Rapper, what about Sterling Shepard? Rapper, what about Christian Kirk? Rapper, what about... I don't know. But the point is, guys, we see it every week. We've seen this from Sterling Shepard. I'm not wasting my waiver. Like, if you want to get Sterling Shepard, like if you, let's say you have a top waiver pick and you get Tony Jones Jr. and then he's around with your second pick, Sterling Shepard. All right. But like, to me, Shepard, it's just a matter of time he gets hurt before he gets hurt. He had a good game, but they still got Kenny Galladay, still got Barkley. He had a good game. And he's had good games before, but he also gets hurt every year. So to me, like, I'm not going for it. It's fool's gold. I'm just not. So it's same thing with Christian Kirk. He gets injured every year. He's had blow up games before where he gets 2 touchdowns and he'll get like 2 points the next game. No, that team's all about D-Hop. And no, I told you guys, just think about it like this. Is Sterling Shepard going to be an every week starter on a championship team? Is Christian Kirk going to be an every week starter on a championship team? So you might as well save that waiver, save that fob money because you're going to need it, guys. We're in week 1. It's a long season, 17 weeks. You're going to need that money. And then when that slam dunk league winners, you're going to be happy, you say, especially if you're 1-0. And even if you're 0-1, I mean, it's one game. Who cares? All right. I see a question here about the Rams. Yeah, the Rams. I don't know if the Rams are going to be as good. They lost their defensive coordinator. I think that's a very underrated loss when you lose your defensive coordinator, which is why. Oh, I like the question, though, because it reminds me. there's another defense that I kind of like as well, and that's the Chargers, because they got the Rams defensive coordinator, but like the Broncos, they just been, hit with the injury bug the last couple of years. But that defense, if Joey Bosa can stay healthy, and then they got Derwin James, honing that secondary, they could be a really good defense. But I like those others that I mentioned more. But there you have it, guys. My waivers. Now, I'll take some questions from you guys. I think you guys like that, right? I think I appreciate you guys coming on live. So I'll answer some questions now for you guys. All right. So Broncos definitely better than Carolina. I think this week is better. Broncos. I think this week is better. Broncos versus Giants. Broncos versus Giants was last week. You think Debo is a sell high? Wow, bro. Like, you're ruining my content for tomorrow. You'll have to stay tuned. So if you guys aren't familiar with the schedule, it's going to be Mondays, we're going to do a recap of Sunday's games. Tuesday, waiver wire Tuesday. Tomorrow is going to be buy, sell, hold, which basically has all to do with trades, who we should be going after, who we should be trying to get rid of, who we shouldn't panic and still hold on to. That is why it's called buy, sell, hold. That'll be tomorrow. Thursday, we'll be doing some news and notes and previewing the Thursday night game. Friday, we'll be doing a preview for Sunday's game. Saturday, I'll be going over some DFS plays for my gamblers and degenerates out there. Quick reminder, too, I'd have a DFS group, $50 per month or $200 for the season. And if you do the season, you get access to my private betting Discord, DFS Discord. And then Sunday, I'm off because Sunday, this is my living, so I gotta be focused. I try to focus more on my teams. I have noticed in the past that I have not been selfish enough. I was too worried about everybody else's team, and my team suffered, and then I wasn't liking fantasy football as much. So I want to enjoy fantasy football as well. Plus, I have to be ultra focused when it comes to betting and DFS this is what you guys want to do though for Sunday. If there's anything important, the most important thing you could do in this fantasy football season, if you don't get my paid content, is follow me on Twitter. I'm telling you right now, I'm tweeting there literally all freaking day. And that's where any breaking news is going to be. I'll type that in here. It's at I am FF Rapper. And then Sunday. So if there's anything that important, but here's a little trick. And I know this because I'm obsessed with betting and DFS. When you're obsessed with betting and DFS, you get every meticulous detail you go into. There's always a last minute scratch that affects the games. So last week it was OBJ, it was Trey Sermon, all these, it could be an offensive line. A lot of people only look at skill positions, but if an offensive line, like if you're the starting left tackle for Detroit Lions, he was a last minute. He was out last minute, and that affects the Niners defense. So little stuff like that will affect things. So stuff like that, I'll be letting you know on Twitter. All right, let me go back to these questions now that I just got done rambling. Oh, we got a lot of questions. I like that. Okay, cool. I'm here for you guys. What time is it? Yeah, we'll take it till 5 if we need to. How would you rank Gronk versus Higbee? Jesus, Monica, are you part of my group? Why are you choosing between Gronk versus Higbee? I think, guys, when it comes to tight ends, pretty much every tight end, for the most part, is a boom or bust touchdown dependent tight end. I wouldn't get carried away with Gronk's multi-touchdown game because, number one, Dallas is historically bad against the tight ends. Them, Cleveland, Atlanta, Raiders, although they did okay with Andrews yesterday. Those are like the worst teams for tight ends. You know, Higbee and Gronk, it's like there's no clear cut. Like here's the thing. Jonnu Smith, Higbee, Gronk, Gerald Everett. Like you could throw all these guys in a pool and just pick one. You know what I'm saying? There's no clear. I like Cole Kemmet a little bit better than those guys. You know, Dallas Goedert is a little bit better. I don't know how I feel about Gesicki. I thought he was a little bit better, but I'm starting to have doubts about that. Noah Fant's definitely better. I love Noah Fant if you could trade for him. But it's like, you know, Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, and then it's like Pitts, Fant, Logan Thomas, and then it's like Cole Kmet, Goddard, and like everybody else. So it's going to be a matchup type of situation when it comes to the tight end position. You feel strong about Dolphins defense moving forward? Yeah, I don't feel strong. I didn't like the Dolphins defense going into the season. Here's the thing, guys. Defenses are very, very seldom consistent. Every year, it's like we got a good defense. Rams were the best last year. The year before that was like Pittsburgh. Year before that, or the Niners. The year before that was like Chicago. Year before that was Jacksonville. Like, it's always somebody new. So I'm not too much feeling. They're not an every week start for me, but they could start. Broncos versus Jacksonville. Broncos versus Jacksonville is a no-brainer, especially if it's at home. I haven't done my research for the games yet. I do everything in chronological order. I make sure I stay focused. Monday, I was all about looking at, you know, the games, seeing if what I saw matched up with the stats. I spent a lot of time. Actually, I'll send you guys that article because I didn't get to post it on my website. But Tuesday, I focus on waiver wire. Wednesday, trades. Thursday, more so the first version of the start sits. More so for the games, for the Thursday night game. But we'll see. Drop Carter for Roundtree. I have Chubb, Gainwell, Tony Jones Jr., and Javonte. Yeah, I would do that. Should I keep a hold of Sermon just in case he starts to ball out? Again, guys, everything is relative. Like, yeah, everything is relative. Who are you dropping Tony Jones for? I mean, Trey Sermon, excuse me. Drop Trey Sermon for Tony Jones. I would. Do you like Bryan Edwards over Elijah Moore? Ooh. That's tough. I'm not ready to give up on Elijah Moore. It was 1 week and he dropped like a 60-yard bomb. So all of a sudden he catches that. We're beating a different tune. You know what I'm saying? I would try to get both. Drop your kicker, try to work on a trade throughout the week. But, you know, when it's close like that, I usually just like keeping what I got. I love both players, though. The reason why Elijah Moore, like Bryan Edwards, if he was on another team, I'd say Bryan Edwards because they're both crazy talented. But Bryan Edwards is like a physical specimen. But the Raiders, they feature so much Waller, and they got Renfro, and then, I don't all of a sudden people are talking about Carr as like an elite quarterback. I'm not buying it, which is why I'm not buying Bryan Edwards over Elijah Moore. I think Elijah Moore will get it together, and I love Zack Wilson. So, thoughts on Trey Sermon, Ramondre Stevenson? I plan on staying patient with them unless you advise against it. I mean, they're lottery tickets. You know, I think if you're in a deeper league, you have deeper bench spots, you keep them. But I think they could also be dropped because they're not going to be relevant unless an injury occurs, especially in the case of Ramondre Stevenson. Here is the kicker, though. Damien Harris has not yet proven that he could stay healthy. So there is a good chance. but it also is not a potent offense. So you see, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but long story short, they're lottery tickets. They're not undroppable. So if you could get a Tony Jones Jr., if you could get a Brian Edwards, if you could get a Kenny Gainwell, then I have no problem dropping with them. But if you're going to drop them for Sterling Shepard or Christian Kirk, well, it depends if you're going to use them right away, but I doubt it. I wouldn't trust those guys. So they're lottery tickets. And right now they're, what are the chances of winning a lottery? Pretty slim. That's where we're at with those two right now. How would you rank Paola? How would you rank Callaway, Elijah Moore, and Jacoby Myers rest of the season? Ooh, this is a tough one. This is why it's so important to watch football, know football, be obsessed with football. This is why I can't have another job, because this is a fucking full-time job. Now, a lot of people would, well, the slam dunk answer, I think most analysts would say, is Jacoby Myers. And actually, I'm between him and Callaway at this moment. But I also love Elijah Moore. It's like one of those, I see why you asked the question, because it's such a hard question. I think the safest play here is Jacoby Myers. PPR, Aguilar got the touchdown, but Jacoby Myers still led the team in targets, 9 targets. And that's what you guys got to do. More importantly than numbers is volume. Because eventually, if the volume is there, the numbers will come. All right? And we know the slot position, historically speaking, has been a feast for the Patriots. So with that said, Jacoby Myers is the safest. I would probably put him first in PPR. However, the other two might have more upside. And in the case of Callaway, this is why I'm not overreacting. And you guys, I bet at least one of you are going to be in a league where somebody's going to drop Callaway. And if that's the case, I'm already telling you now, pick his ass up. Everything is so relative. People just look at the micro and don't look at the macro. Callaway stunk it up. Okay, but did Jameis Winston not just throw 20 passes, 150 yards, only 14 completions? Did he not go against Alexander, arguably the best cornerback in the league? Right? Elijah Moore, did you know that he dropped a 60-yard pass? So all of a sudden, you get 6 for the 60, 1 for the reception, that's 7, another 6 for the touchdown, that's 13 points. All of a sudden, Elijah Moore is the best thing since sliced bread. But that's why this is a full-time job. How did I know? You know what I'm saying? So long story short, right now, probably be Myers, Callaway, Elijah Moore. But it could easily be Elijah Moore, Callaway, Myers. Like, it's very close. It's very close. But Callaway is going to be Winston's main guy. There will be better days. He's going to have days where he throws more than 20 passes, I guarantee you. They don't want Kamara carrying the ball 20 times. Is it too early to be scared about Aaron Jones? No, I mean, Aaron Jones has a history of this. Aaron Jones is one of the top 10 backs easily, talent standpoint. But Matt LaFleur, I mean, and that's another thing, guys. The Saints, again, this is why you got to know football, and I'm not blaming you guys. You don't do this full time, and some people have different levels, skill levels, experience, but Saints are always top 3 to 5 against the run. They shut down everybody, and he got 5 carries. So, yeah, there'll be better days from Aaron Jones. He's a great player, but there'll also be some clunkers because Matt LaFleur never really, feeds him like that. He don't treat him like a workhorse. He uses more than one back. So, should you be scared? No, but you could, maybe not this bad, but you can expect games where Aaron Jones might have a clunker or two. He's available, so I've got Pitts. Oh, if you got Pitts, you're fine. Pitts ran like 80% of routes from like the slot. He had 8 targets. Again, follow the volume. Okay. So if you got Pitts, yeah, total overreaction. Do not worry about that. You're welcome, Monica. Thank you, Hector. I have Cousins. Should I grab Jones, Wilson, or Fields from waivers? Why do you have? Well, first of all, unless you're not in a deep league because those guys are available. So my question to you, Crystal, is why the hell do you have Cousins starting as your quarterback? That's number one. Although I guess fantasy-wise he didn't do that bad, but still. Jones, Wilson, Jones. You talking about Daniel Jones? Wilson. I would take Wilson. Again, it's crazy. It's crazy. No run game, no offensive line, missing 2 out of his top 4 receivers on the road. First game against what I told you was just a top 3 to 5 defense, Carolina. Still with no freaking help. 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he can move. He'll get some rushing yards. Wilson's that dude. So, yeah, long story short, Wilson. Drop Trey Sermon for Roundtree. That's the second question I got on that. And I would say, yeah. Mark Ingram worth a pickup. Okay, this is kind of interesting. Mark Ingram, kind of like Elijah Moore. Had a good game. Well, had a good fantasy game. He still only averaged 3 yards per carry. Got a fuck ton of carries. I just can't, similar to Elijah Mitchell, I just can't picture Mark Ingram getting that type of usage and lasting 17 games, especially if you keep averaging 3 yards per carry. So it's what I say earlier, fool's gold. It's fool's gold. So Mark Ingram, I would not waste a waiver on him. I would not feel comfortable starting him. And similar to Elijah Moore, he probably had his best game week 1. We've seen it before. It happens all the time. Should I pick up Mitchell and drop Carter? Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm always right. Nobody's always right. The craziest shit happens in fantasy football. But I am here to tell you that given the Niners' history, we know they use multiple backs. We know there's not one back that's clearly better than the other because A, Elijah Mitchell was a 6th-round pick. B, the higher pick didn't even suit up. And C, Jamichael Hasty arguably had the best preseason out of all of them. So there's some upside with Elijah Mitchell, but I'm more willing to bet that he's more fool's gold. But when we're talking about Michael Carter, he hasn't shown crap. Like, you can't beat Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson. That's not cool. Oh, Mac Jones? No, I like Wilson. Sorry, I came in late, and maybe you had that. Time to panic because of Ayuk. I'm going to do a post on that because so many people have asked me. I did address it Sunday night on my Instagram live. I addressed it yesterday on the YouTube live. Long story short, I am concerned, but I'm not, jumping off the ship just yet. And there are several reasons for that. But am I concerned? Yeah, it's definitely, put it like this. I'm more concerned about Brandon Ayuk than I am Callaway or Elijah Moore. Callaway, Elijah Moore. Callaway had a tough matchup. Elijah Moore, first game, had a bad drop. But Ayuk, Detroit, practiced all week. We're hearing things like, we want to make sure he's 100%. We like this other guy, so we wanted to rotate. It's sounds a little like very Dante Pettis-like, if you guys remember that. That's the analogy I keep giving. But yeah, so I'm concerned, but on the positive note, if they do want to preserve his health, good. Debo can't stay healthy. Kittle really can't either. So there's a good chance that, but do I feel comfortable starting him week 2? No. Mm-mm. Thanks for the amazing content. You're welcome. Would you pick from the wire Eli Mitchell or Jamar? Oh, Jamar Chase. Are you kidding me? Jamar Chase is on your wire? Bruh. Lucky man. Short bench. Pick up Gronk and drop Latavius, Sermon, or Shark. Why would you drop Shark? Shark had like a touchdown, 80-something yards, I believe. 12 targets. See, how do I know this shit off the top of my head, guys? I'm literally obsessed with this shit. Who the fuck can tell you how many targets a player gets off the top of their head like that? Guys, I don't write this shit down. You do realize this, right? Also, what about David Montgomery? He looked primed to have an amazing season. Should I trade for him ASAP, even if it means overpaying a bit, or should I hold my horses? See, those are what I call blanket questions. You told me a whole lot of nothing. You told me you want to trade for David Montgomery. Well, yeah. I mean, you and probably 99% of fantasy owners. You said, should I overpay? What does that mean? Are you talking about DK Metcalf and Javonte Williams? Or are you talking about Mike Davis and D-Hop? It's just not enough information for me to give you an answer. But do I like David Montgomery? Well, yeah, of course I do. I have him on several teams. Entourage has him. I said he's the perfect 3-headed monster. If somehow you could pull that off, even the 2, I love David Montgomery. Long story short, and I've done a lot of content, relatively speaking, because I haven't really done as much content as I would have liked to. But David Montgomery, remember what I tell you guys. If I did a rap about the player, I really like him, and I only did like probably less than 10 raps. So definitely love David Montgomery. Mexico, I'm dying to go to Mexico, bro. Can you house me? Are you in Mexico City? I don't give a fuck where in Mexico, to be honest. I heard Mexico City's dope, but I love Mexico. I love Mexican women too. All right, back. Would you trade Zeke for Demont and a wide receiver 2 and 3? Yeah, I would actually. I think David Montgomery could have a better year than Ezekiel Elliott, straight up. So if you could get another wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, I'm here for it. I love Monty, man. I really do. I love them coming out of the draft. I love, the way he's looking. I love that Tariq Cohen's out. I love that he could catch the football. I love Monty, man. I really do. But I am going to start wrapping this up soon. So if you got any last-minute questions here, as I said, I'll go till 5 and it's 4:56. So try to answer a few more if there's any more. Please, before you leave, give a like if you're interested in any of my products. Like I said, the bets, we went 4 for 4 on our games. I have a DFS group. I have the premium content is super cheap, guys. If you want the full list of waivers, here's what the premium content includes, and only $5 a month, which is ridiculous because you guys see the hours that I spend writing this shit up. It's almost like, fuck. Why did I make this so cheap? It's a lot of work. But it's extended waiver list. So it's not just the 7 names that you got in this video. It's my complete waiver or trade target list, buy, sell, hold. So tomorrow I'll probably give you 3 to 5 players or something. This will be like closer to like 20, 30. The rankings, complete rankings. You get rankings Thursday and then an updated one Saturday. It's worth it. It's $5 a month, not a week. Should be a week. Maybe I change it to a week. It's $5 a month or $20 for the year. Let me know. How do you feel about my wide receivers? Woods, Deontay, Shark, OBJ, and Waddle. I mean, they're okay. I mean, they're not the strongest, but if you got strong running backs, good quarterback, maybe a tight end, then everything's relative. Appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. And then my thoughts on Zach Moss. I wish I had an answer for that one. I think that's one of the craziest things I've experienced. Everything you heard was Zach Moss was having a great offseason. Then he got hurt. And then I guess from there, the narrative switched. And I think this is sometimes the hardest part about fantasy. And I do a pretty good job of this, but maybe I don't. But even I could improve on this. And what that is paying attention to reporters, Twitter world. Because you know what I do, guys? Believe it or not, I shut down I don't follow any analyst. I mean, I do. Okay, let me back. I follow analysts as far as follow them because I support a lot of different analysts. But I shut out any of their opinions because I don't want them to sway mine. Okay? Because I only trust my eyes. I don't trust numbers. Numbers lie, believe it or not. So I only try to follow where I actually listen to beat reporters. But even beat reporters, which they're supposed to be plugged in and I'm not talking, okay, so I literally have every single beat reporter on my Twitter notifications on. So my Twitter is just going off all fucking day. I don't follow the ESPN Rams reporter or the Athletic Rams reporter. No, I follow the Chicago Tribune's local beat writer. But even they miss shit. So who could you trust? And, I was hearing Devin Singletary was looking good, but again, you never know. But here's what I don't understand. Even if Devin Singletary beat him out, and I talked about this yesterday, even if Devin Singletary beat him out, why isn't he at least dressing as a backup running back? And even the last preseason game, he caught a touchdown, and he is the better pass catcher. And he's better suited to be a goal line back. I feel there's something more there. And the fact that it's Tuesday evening and we still haven't heard more, it's just weird. So, if you could get a Tony Jones or somebody like that, I don't think he is – I don't think you have to hold on to Zach Moss. I think he is droppable. But, again, who are you dropping it for? But, yeah, he's pretty much droppable. When you don't even – when you're a healthy scratch, I mean, it's weird. It's really weird. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. If you have any questions after this, just comment. I'll try to get to as many as possible. Follow me on Instagram at Fantasy Football Rapper, and more importantly, on Twitter at IAMFF, like Fantasy Football Rapper. I am FF Rapper. Until next time.